If you're Italian, prepare to feel insulted.
Oh my god.
So hi, hello, and welcome back to whatever this is. I felt it in my bones that all of you are hungry. So you come to me for advice. Which brings us to lasagna. I have a lot of feelings and thoughts around this particular recipe, and I have to tell you, I don't think any of my friends care, which is why we're here. This whole channel is just an outlet for me to yell. So this is a vegetarian lasagna, but note at any point you could just like make a little bit of meat on your stovetop, layer it in, you're gonna be okay, sweetie. But I would like you to hear me out, because I understand a lot of vegetarian lasagnas are disgusting. They are made by some weird, like, I don't even know if it's really a vegetarian making them. That's my theory. Why are you telling me to layer spinach leaves? And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm the only person here, but I don't want to just be like cutting through layers of spinach leaves. So it's just like big slices of zucchini or eggplant. It's just like, I don't want to do this. You're making this meal feel like work for me, and I'm not here for that. And that is why I'm proud of this recipe. Note, process behind this, I did not actually come up with. I have gone through a lot of recipes in my day. There's a lot of things in here, so basically what I'm getting at is this is me stealing recipes from like 7 people, so I'm just warning you, I'm not smart, but I know how to steal. So yeah, hi, welcome to my channel. So as always, all the ingredients will be listed down below. I promise you this is a beautiful recipe that is very difficult to screw up, which is one of the beauteous things about it. So step 1, you want to preheat your oven to 425 if you're gonna be making your lasagna now. This is also another recipe that you can put in the freezer and eat later, and it's beautiful. Cool, 1 step down. You're doing great. My extremely unflattering apron. Okay, now we're actually ready for step 2. So how we're gonna start this is by making the filling. So what you're gonna need for the filling is pretty much 2 things: cheeses and vegetables. So like I said, I've made a lot of lasagnas in my day and obviously have a lot of feelings about lasagnas. And here's the thing about the filling. I have looked up so many real and authentic recipes, and I recognize that the problem is not actually the recipes, it's that I am uncultured swine. But cottage cheese just tastes better, okay? I don't know what it is. I've tried ricotta. I bought really expensive, like paid a stupid amount of money for this ricotta, layered it in there, and it just never, like, it's never quite the same. The other thing with this does make it slightly healthier, I think, because now you are getting 13 grams of protein. So obviously if you wanted to swap this out, you could, but I'm telling you, this is just like more flavorful and better. Okay, you're gonna need 16 ounces of cottage cheese, and you are also going to need at least 8 ounces of mozzarella. As for the vegetables, you can use whatever you want. I like to kind of clean out what's in my fridge, if you couldn't tell by this weird baggie of mushrooms, but you're just gonna wanna aim for like 5 cups. So if you do not like zucchini, or you don't like mushrooms, or you don't like whatever it is, you may actually find you like it in this because you can't really taste it. Hidden secret vegetables, people. So yeah, if you have like a child or a boyfriend who's basically a child and doesn't like half of this stuff, you just grind it up, serve it to them, they'll never freaking know. Trust me. Whatever, I'm making the man healthy. And additionally, you're gonna want my best friends, onion and garlic. So what you're gonna wanna do with these is just cut everything up to around the same size. This does not by any means have to be beautiful. These do not have to be proper, attractively cut vegetables. Hence, not screwing this up, you're welcome. What we're gonna do with these is go ahead and saute them in the onion and garlic. But depending on what vegetables you pick, you may want to add things in either all at once or with a little bit of barrier time between each one. For example, I like to cook the zucchini a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, we're gonna blend all of this, so as long as you don't burn it, you're probably gonna be fine. We're getting nice and a little bit brown. The zucchini is turning like more transparent. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add in my onion. Keep in mind to keep this bowl because you're gonna need it. And with the onions in here, I'm also gonna go ahead and add in 3 cloves of minced garlic. And if you're like, only 3, Lauren, don't worry, more is coming. But go ahead and add this in here. If things are looking real dry, you could at any point, obviously feel free to add a little bit more oil, but honestly, if you have the onion in here, the moisture in the onion will like seep out and should prevent all your garlic from burning. You definitely do want to add a little bit of salt in here. I like a good amount of pepper. And if there's any other spice that you like to add to vegetables like this, go ahead and toss that in, my friend. So keep cooking this until your onion is transparent and just basically like everything is cooked through. So right at the end, Add in your spinach, watch it disintegrate. So keep in mind, if you A, just don't have a blender or you enjoy cutting through vegetables and having to eat them, this is a very optional step. You definitely could have just tried to cut the vegetables down to a more reasonable size if you wanted them to be smaller, or I mean make them whatever size you want really. But what I like to do, and again this is what makes the hidden vegetables, is get a blender out and just like have a bowl nearby. This is the one that I was just putting vegetables in. You can reuse it, you'll be fine. And in the blender we're gonna add in all of your vegetables. So I've got those roasted red peppers and the zucchini, spinach, mushroom, onion, garlic fiesta. And then lastly, you are also going to add in half of your cottage cheese mixture. You know people eat this with fruit. You sickos. And then with the other half, just go ahead and dunk this into your bowl. Pop the top on your blender, and again, even if you just don't want to completely puree this, you just want to make it a little bit finer, go ahead and do this step, or like myself, destroy it. And keep in mind, this is gonna look a little nasty. Yeah, it's not fun finding out how the sausage was made, huh? And then just go ahead and pour this literal sludge you've just made into the remainder of your cottage cheese. Give everything a stir to fully incorporate the rest of the cottage cheese, and then you, my friend, have filling. So go ahead and put this to the side along with your mozzarella. They can be friends. And we're gonna move on to making your sauce. Yes, we are making our own sauce. It's not hard at all. Again, if you don't have a blender or you just don't feel like doing this or you're in a hurry or whatever your reason is, you lazy son of a... You definitely could just substitute in like 2, maybe 2.5 cups if you like things saucy, which I do, of just store-bought sauce. But I like making my own because again, it is not difficult. It's an impressive thing to tell your friends. And also it's just like a lot better for you because I don't put sugar in my spaghetti sauce. Just like, it's just better, okay? Just do what I say. So if you want to make a fancier, different sauce, you definitely can Google a recipe. In an ideal world, you would make a sauce and then let it marinate and like sit and saute and simmer on your stovetop for like 8 hours, but this is not that kind of recipe if you have not figured out by now. This is a you can't screw it up recipe. So prime ingredients for this is basically just tomatoes and basil. I like a lot of basil in my sauce. This is where the majority of your flavor is going to come from. But additionally, because I am not awful, I use 5 to 6, just depending on like how much garlic you have and want, big cloves of garlic. And I like red pepper flakes because this just gives it like a little bit of a kick without actually being spicy. So into a blender, you are going to add 28 ounces of diced tomatoes. I like this brand personally, but obviously use whatever you want. Next, you're gonna add in a good big ol' handful of basil that you have made sure to wash and rinse off very well. Next, just toss in your garlic, which can just be whole cloves, it does not matter. I like to add a tablespoon of red pepper flakes, but if you fear any amount of spice, maybe just don't put this in at all. But you will want to be sure to add, I like to do about like 2, maybe like 2 and a little bit more because I don't really measure very well, tablespoons of olive oil. And finally some salt, which I would say like, I don't know, maybe a teaspoon or just whatever comes out when you do this. So once more, put your top on and just blend away. And ta-da, you have sauce. So just make sure that there is no chunk, especially if your blender is kind of like old and wonky. Make sure that there isn't like a big chunk of garlic somewhere in this. Everything is nice and blended, and just go ahead and pour your beautiful homemade sauce into a bowl. If you want to, also, this is really easy to go ahead and double like while you're doing all the work. If you wanted to just double this, you definitely could just put part of it in a jar in the freezer. And the next time you go to make spaghetti or lasagna or whatever you want, you already got sauce made. But congratulations, you have made it to the final step, which is assembly. So what you're gonna wanna do is make sure you have your cheese, your weird filling concoction, and your lovely sauce. Also, what you're going to need is some no-boil noodles because lasagna noodles are very easy to screw up, so we're just not doing that, okay? Last thing you're going to need is a pan. Now, in an ideal world, I, who have a million pans, would have a sized pan that is between this size and this size, but I don't. So when I make this, I actually prefer to just make a really thick lasagna in one of these. I just like to use one of these square, smaller pans. Note though, if you don't have one of these or you don't, just want to do this, you definitely can. This makes more than enough food. So you could just make a larger pan of lasagna, but I would adjust the time that you cook it, because the time that I cook this for is perfect for this size, but I do find because this is just a little bit more shallow than what this ends up being, it does not take as long to cook. Make sure your hands are clean because you're going to be touching some cheese. So if you've been touching a camera, wash them now. And now begins the assembly. So first of all, you are going to start with putting a nice spoonful of sauce at the bottom of your dish. Again, if you are using a longer dish, you might want like 2 really big spoonfuls, but I find about 1.5 is good for this. You just want to make sure that there is enough sauce on the bottom, because the next layer we're going to add is the noodles. You don't want these to be dry. And grab your filling. So with this, I like to very gently sloop some of this on here and just spread this out evenly. Once you're done with that, you're going to grab your mozzarella and get about like 1/4 of this and just layer this on here. And this you are going to do 3 more times. So just remember that you are putting noodles down, then you are putting filling down, then your cheese, then your sauce. We're pushing limits already, kids, but once you have all of your filling laid out, you are going to place final layers down. And I like to, at this point, just go ahead and dump the sauce over this. Making sure, again, everything is fully covered, and then finishing everything with the rest of your mozzarella. If you wanted to add like a little bit of Parmesan on here, or I mean really whatever cheese that you want. If you're into those Italian blends, feel free to add that as well. But just make sure, whatever you choose, you have a nice, beautiful layer of cheese on the top. Now, here is the only part that gets tricky with this pan size and the amount of food that I insist on cramming in here. And that is because at this point your oven should definitely be ready to go, and you are going to want to bake this for 18 minutes with it wrapped in foil. But you don't want the cheese to touch the foil, otherwise when you take the foil off, all the cheese is gonna come with it, you're gonna cry, it's gonna be a whole thing. So I like to go ahead and make kind of this weird cave situation, which obviously is not going to make this as like super airtight wrapped as you would want, but I promise you it's gonna be okay. Go ahead and put this in the oven for 18 minutes. Clean up the disaster that is your kitchen. And then once your timer goes off, you are going to remove your foil tent, or hopefully in your case just like real foil because you're not an idiot like I am, and let this cook for another 10 minutes. At this point you definitely could just take this out and be done with it if the top is to your liking, but if it is not like crispy and like beautiful enough for you, if you want to go ahead and broil this for 1 to 2 minutes, that will give you more color on the top. Then once you are done, this is a very important step, people, especially because this is so liquidy. You really want to let this set for at least 20 minutes. Just leave this sitting on the counter. There's a reason why lasagna tastes better the next day, and the longer you can kind of like let this hang out before you serve it, the better. So during this time while it's just sitting on the counter, I like to go ahead and make like a salad or some garlic bread or whatever you want to go with it. But my point is keep this time included in your head when you go to make this, because otherwise if you don't include this time, you're gonna take the lasagna out, it's gonna be dinner time, you're gonna be hungry, you're gonna be looking at it, and you are gonna have some soupy lasagna. And that's still delicious, but I'm just warning you, it's better if you let it rest. But other than that, you have a lovely lasagna, which again, you can freeze if you want to, or just go ahead and enjoy it because it makes wonderful leftovers. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Go ahead and tag me on Instagram or Twitter if you made this and show me your beautiful concoctions, and sorry if you have to make a weird aluminum foil tent. Also, go clean your kitchen and have a nice day. Bye, thank you for watching.
Consider this an invitation to my gangster name.